Hey everyone, welcome to Launch Codes Football. My name is Chris,
And I'm Chelsea.
and today we are on episode 35, and we just had some crazy AFC and NFC championship games happening, which we're going to get into today as long as with some other pretty decently sized, medium sized
Some
news
mediocre news, if you ask me.
about a certain guy getting out of the league. But anyways, we're
Such a
gonna
shame.
we're gonna go ahead and get into that. So let's go ahead and start with talking about the Bengals versus Chiefs. So this one was crazy. In our outline, I wrote this in like all caps, and Chelsea was like, "Why did you write this in all caps that the Bengals win?" It's because, like, okay, also I want to
To quote Chris,
apologize.
because
Like,
it's freaking exciting.
literally, it I want to apologize to any Bengals fans who have heard and been upset with any of my picks, or just anyone who was thinking they could
Or
win.
mine.
I have literally picked against them every time, and they keep winning.
I
And
haven't. So if you're going to be mad at someone, be mad at Chris, just so you know.
I'm just like, I just, every time I think, okay, this has been a nice, sweet little run, but all right, all good things must come to an end. And yeah, no matter what will happen in a couple of weeks, we will have an end. But goodness, like, the Bengals upset the Kansas City Chiefs. If you want to, it was really a tale of two halves. The first half, the Bengals were getting slapped around. It was like, it was not even funny. It was, the Chiefs were rolling, everything was looking good. But then at that last play at the end of the first half, the
Eli
Bengals
Apple
deep
showed up.
last play, they stop the Chiefs from scoring a touchdown, and the Chiefs don't get anything. They just wanted to go for a touchdown. They did not kick the field goal. And I think in that moment there was a little bit of a spark. There was a change, like, in the Bengals. Yeah, they still struggled in the second half at times, but Kansas City's offense after that stop, after the first half, was never the same again. Mahomes was having a wonderful first half. He was looking like the Mahomes we all know. And then in the second half, he didn't even have a touchdown, rushing, passing, whatever. And they only scored 3 points in the second half, which is just crazy. I mean, as vaunted as like the Bills defense is, they weren't able to hold them to 3 points and a half. And certainly the Steelers weren't either. So it's just like the Bengals, I think what they did was they changed up their formation and pretty much just gave up on blitzing, rushed like three guys and threw the rest in coverage, and it worked. Mahomes, it wasn't like Mahomes had no time to throw in this game. He had so many moments and opportunities where he was just behind the line looking for guys and no one was open, or either that or he wasn't seeing them. And then he would take a sack, which was bad. Like, he cannot take the sacks that he was. He was trying to make something incredible happen, and it wasn't happening. So either way, the Bengals and Chiefs go to overtime, but then the Chiefs win the coin toss, and everyone's like, okay, well, this game is over now. It is over. And then in the first 13 seconds of overtime, we talked all about 13 seconds a few weeks, or about the last game. And in the first 13 seconds of overtime, Mahomes throws a pick, and broken up by my man out of Wake Forest, Jesse Bates. I'm just saying, he made
Always
an
got to shout out
incredible
the
break.
Wake Forest boys.
Literally, I will. I just gotta say that was really nice. And then Bell being there to catch the interception, and then the game was pretty much over from there. McPherson again with a clutch kick.
You
Man's
mean
on fire.
McGoatson?
Goodness, man! Like, every
Shooter
time
McGoatson?
every time the Bengals, or every time that's happened now, the two times, like, the Bengals are always on their Twitter saying, "This is why you draft a kicker." And I'm like, yeah, actually, why don't teams draft kickers? They draft punters, but not kickers. I don't know, whatever. But anyways, great game overall. Unfortunate for the Chiefs, and pretty disappointing if you're a Chiefs fan, not gonna lie. Like, your team looked nothing like they should have or have before, and they weren't able to pull it out in the clutch, which they normally are. But anyways, yeah, I've kind of recapped a little bit, said what I think. Chelsea, what do you think about this game, or what were you feeling?
I mean, first of all, to start with the Chiefs, I think that the Chiefs have the same wide receiver issues that the Colts have. The Chiefs have an unarguable wide receiver one in Tyreek Hill, right? So do the Colts. Colts have Michael Pittman. But do they really have a true two? Like, they have a lot of guys that are decent. I mean, they have Pringle and some other guys that definitely show flashes, but like, I don't think that they really have a dominant wide receiver two. And honestly, the fact that they don't doesn't really bother them until they get deep into the playoffs, because most teams can't stop Tyreek and Kelsey, right? So it doesn't really plague them that much. Like, they have what's his face? It starts with an M.
McCole Hardman.
Coleman. Yeah, they have McCole Hardman and Pringle. Like I said, both of which are decent guys. Like, they're really good. They're fast. They're good pass catchers. But I mean, the issue of them not having a true wide receiver two doesn't really plague them, like I said, until they get deep into the playoffs, because the only teams really that can stop the Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce tandem are teams that make it deep into the playoffs. When you make it deep into the playoffs, that is when your biggest weaknesses are revealed. And I think that it was very obvious that that is a weakness the Chiefs have. It just doesn't come out that often, right? When you're playing mediocre teams like, the Browns or Jacksonville or the Giants or whoever, like, yeah, you can run all over them with Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill because they're not that good and they just don't have the defense to keep up, right? But the teams you're going to face on the path to the Super Bowl, for the most part, they do. And I think that they did a great job of shutting down Kelce and Hill because they knew that everyone else they had couldn't beat them. They betted on that and it paid off. Like, let's just be honest. It did. So if you're a Chiefs fan and you're watching this, if I'm a Chiefs fan and I'm watching this, I'm thinking we need to draft a receiver or we need to go sign someone big, which apparently they've considered signing like Juju Smith-Schuster, which I think would be a good sign for them. Like, he would not be wide receiver one, obviously, but he would be a good two. He could take some of the pressure off. He's talented enough. So that's just kind of what I wanted to preface with. I think it was very obvious that the Chiefs have a need there for someone who is truly dominant, but on a secondary level underneath who they already have. Yeah. I think if they had that, it would be way harder. Like, it's already tremendously difficult to beat the Chiefs, like even without a wide receiver two. But if you got a wide receiver two, like, imagine if they added Chris Godwin.
They tried.
Like, who do you double? Godwin?
They
Hill,
did try to
Kelce?
add Josh Gordon. That didn't work out. But yeah,
admittedly, that's not really a superstar ad at this point.
Yeah.
But like I said, what if they went out and got an Allen Robinson or a Mike Williams or a Godwin? I mean, you can't double both Kelce and Hill if you have that third guy, right? So I think if they go out and get that third guy, that they're going to be even more difficult to stop. But let's be honest, this conversation is not about the Chiefs, right? It's about the Bengals. First of all, I want to shout out the city of Cincinnati for giving a day off school the day after the Super Bowl, quote, so they can celebrate their first Super Bowl victory in 34 years or something. And I hope it's true. I hope that they win and that all those kids get to sleep in and celebrate all day. Like, that would be awesome. And the teachers too. Like, let's be honest. Sometimes the adults care more than the kids do. But no, I mean, the Bengals played a game. They looked out of it.
Yeah.
Like, I was texting my fiance during the game, and once the Chiefs were up by 2-3 scores, I was like, it's not looking good. Like, the probability of them coming back from this against the Chiefs is going to be very difficult. But they did. They just wanted it. That's really all it comes down to. They just looked like they wanted it more in the second half. Whatever Zach Taylor said to them in the locker room, I'd say it worked, if we're being honest. But I mean, like you said, the Kansas City was unstoppable in the first half, pretty much, except for the end of the game. And if we're also being honest, Eli Apple, the guy who made the play at the end of the first half, he was getting burnt all game. Like, he was not playing good. But, in the playoffs, really the only thing that matters is the play. If you make the plays when they need to be made, right? And he did. If the Chiefs had gotten a field goal there or a touchdown, they may have won this game. Obviously, a game is not just dictated by one play that did or did not happen. It's a series of decisions that add up to a win. But that was a dang big decision. If I'm Andy Reid, I understand the decision to go there because you want to build up a big enough lead that they can't come back from. But at the same time, you kind of see that decision and it makes you wonder if Andy Reid is kind of underestimating the Bengals in that moment, because he didn't take the points there and he thought that he could go against them and get it, and he didn't. And he probably thought, oh, we didn't get it. It'll be fine, probably. Well, it's not fine, obviously.
Yeah.
Obviously, you treat every opponent fairly, right? And you think you give them all the respect that they deserve, but you just kind of wonder at that decision. It's was Andy Reid really worried if he didn't get it? Was it he wasn't really worried if he didn't get it, or he was so worried that he had to try and score a touchdown? I feel it's either one of the two,
I see
what
your
do you
point.
think, Chris?
I see your point. I mean, I don't think he was playing scared. I think he was just trying to be aggressive because they were up 11 and you get a touchdown there. You go up, 18, which is that's a big difference between that and 14, I think they were just trying to step on the gas, and I think they kind of overdid it because they got all the way to the 2.
Yeah. It just kind of felt like the Chiefs at some points during the game were just trying to do too much. There, it felt like Andy Reid was trying to do too much. You're playing in the AFC Championship, just take the points.
I also think you just let Patrick Mahomes try to throw it in the end zone at the 2.
Right. I don't know what that.
I mean,
apparently it was supposed to be thrown in the end zone, and the play just didn't work out that way.
So they just threw. Yeah, I guess. I don't know. It's just, I know Romo was on there saying look, I'd give it to my best player and let him try to do something. And if you are right, if the play, just broke down, then there you go. Bengals did a good job reading it, but yeah, not great execution by the Chiefs in the end.
No, I mean, the Bengals won this game fair and square, but just like I've said this year, just like I said last year, the only team that can beat the Chiefs is the Chiefs, right? The Chiefs are just so talented that if they are truly going to lose a game, it's going to be due to another team capitalizing upon their mistakes, right? So Chiefs punting and giving the ball back. Can't move the ball 3 plays. That's an issue, right? Patrick Mahomes throwing the interception in overtime in the first 3 seconds. Bro, just throw the ball away. It's okay. You don't need to make something big happen there. Don't get me wrong. I think that the Bengals won this game fair and square, but I think that if the Chiefs would have played a perfect game, that the Bengals would not have won, Well,
what do you mean by perfect? Because literally, no one plays if any team played perfect, then yeah.
Last week against the Bills, there really weren't any mistakes. There were no turnovers. I don't think that the Chiefs really had that many flags. They really didn't punt that much. I don't know. The decision making was smart. I guess I use perfect loosely, right? Because obviously no game is going to 100% be played perfectly, but you got to be able to do it without the noticeable mistakes. And you have to go out there and be smart and be confident. And there were just moments that the Chiefs did not look that way, and the Bengals did. Even when the Bengals were down multiple scores, they still looked confident.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just...
The Bengals also ooze confidence. I mean, you see the way Joe Burrow dresses. That man does not dress, he
dresses to impress.
He dresses to impress and be like, I'm coming here to win. And I kind of respect it. I think we all do a little bit.
No, but all in all, I absolutely loved seeing the Bengals win this game. I think it's very exciting when there are just different teams in the Super Bowl after seeing Tom Brady for years and years and years and years, be in practically every Super Bowl, just gets really exhausting, you know? And after him, or alongside him, it's been Mahomes, so Mahomes has been making Super Bowls and stuff. It's like, just give me something new, give me something new and exciting and something that I haven't seen in a long time. That's just fun and exciting. And Chris, I think that if the Bengals win the Super Bowl, we both have to buy Bengals championship shirts and then wear them on the episode after.
Bengals championship shirts.
I will go and I will buy a Bengals championship shirt because I love it. I love the story.
I know it is a great story. I just remember us saying Jamar Chase is not the right move. And then they were like, are you sure about that? Not because we thought he was going to be bad. We just thought Joe Burrow's going to die.
Neither of us thought that Jamar Chase was going to be bad. We were not those people that were like, Jamar Chase didn't play an entire year. He's obviously not going to be good. That was not us.
No,
but admittedly, really the only good lineman that Joe Burrow has is Jonah Williams. And there's 5 linemen. But shout out to freaking Jackson Carman from Clemson for coming into the game as a backup and setting up that screen pass, that Bengals touchdown screen pass. He absolutely set that play up. And when that happened, my fiance texted me and was like, Clemson. So he's like the same way about Clemson players that Chris is about his Wake Forest players. I'm an Indiana fan, which is clearly why I say nothing, because Indiana is not known to be a large football school. But I will say Roger Saffold went to Indiana. So there
you go. Well, let's go ahead and jump into the next game. We got the Rams beating the 49ers to reach the Super Bowl. I thought the Rams would win. The 49ers almost pulled it off, though. They almost pulled some bull crap to win. Yet again, I'm telling you, the 49ers just make people play ugly. And yet again, this was kind of an ugly game. So I'm like, it's always like this when you play the 49ers. You're not going to play a clean game. It's going to be lots of running. There's going to be, it's just, and yeah, like even Stafford had that terrible throw, the very bad throw.
He had a couple of those,
and that didn't get picked off. And I'm just like, oh my goodness, neither of these teams, man. Like, I don't know. Either way, though, can we just acknowledge Aaron Donald at the end getting the big play to sack, or to make Jimmy G make the very. I kind of understand Garoppolo's decision there, but it's probably best to just throw it out of bounds. Like, even if the guy catches it, it's probably not going to do anything, But so shout out to Aaron Donald for getting the Rams to the Super Bowl. And I will say, this might be another Tampa versus Chiefs, where the Chiefs had a very bad offensive line in the Super Bowl last year, and Tampa literally just ran over them. And so I'm like, oh no. Aaron Donald, Von Miller, all those guys are on the other side. And the Bengals, oh my, what's going to happen here? I don't know. It's not that the Bengals can't do it, but I was just like, this could happen. But either way, Rams do win. And 49ers, honestly, you can't be mad if you're the 49ers about this year. Now it just kind of shows you're not really that far off of like being a Super Bowl contender. I don't think 49ers fans even expected themselves to be Super Bowl contenders, to be in this situation. So the fact they even got here and weren't far off from making the Super Bowl, beating the number 1 team in the NFC in their home field, beating the Cowboys. All of these were away games, by the way, but shout out to the 49er fans who kind of made them home games for them. 49er fans are dedicated. So either way, great game. A little bit sloppy at times. Definitely some dropped picks on both ends, like Jalen Ramsey dropping the pick and stuff. But I didn't expect a clean game. It's against the 49ers. And the Rams recently, they have the talent. Like, if they were clicking on all cylinders, I feel like they could be really good and put up a lot of points, but they've struggled. Their offense is weird. Like, you would think they would be a better offense than they are. I don't know, but they make it work. They've won. They're here. So So shout out to the Rams for making it this far. I mean, they are selling everything out to win the Super Bowl, and they've been doing that for years. And they made one a few years ago, and it was close, but yet again, that was a very ugly Super Bowl. And Aaron Donald and those guys are excited to get back to get back at them. While it's not against Brady, they're back in the Super Bowl. They can make up for what they, lost. So I don't know. And
yeah,
I do think
you got a
Stafford's
point.
better than Goff
Yeah.
is. So
I think that Goff gets hated on too much, though. Like, I
Mhm.
think people
Yeah.
think he's worse than he is.
Yeah.
Because with the Lions this year, like, he really did not have that bad of a year. Like, he had a pretty decent year for being on the Lions, if we're being honest. But no, shout out to the Rams. The 49ers can make any game a game, except the game against the Colts in the rain. That was not a game, and it was ugly, but it was not close. It was glorious. So shout out to the Colts for beating the 49ers. But in unrelated news, yeah, I mean, this game obviously was not quite as entertaining as the first game, but to say that it was not entertaining at all would be a lie, because
it was close.
Yeah. It felt like the Rams were trying to lose this game. Which, if you're a Rams fan, you're watching this game and you're going, what the frick are we doing? I agree with Chris when he says that the Rams offense is weird. Like, the Rams offense should be better than it is, but part of the reason that it isn't is because Robert Woods is hurt, who was their number 2 guy, unarguably. And yes, they did fill that hole pretty well with Odell, but even Odell doesn't know the system as well as Woods does. And I think that Woods is a better route runner for sure. So that's a big loss. I think if they had Woods too, that their offense would just be so potent. And then they've had, like I've been saying all year, they've been having running back issues all year. And yes, they got Cam Akers back, who recovered spectacularly quickly from his injury. I mean, he recovered he tore his Achilles, right? Is what his injury was. He recovered in like 9 months. That is crazy. I mean, the normal recovery timeline for an Achilles is normally at least a year. So the fact that he is even back playing in these games is pretty crazy. I do think that he is their running back 1 and that he is very talented, but I do think that they are obviously not leaning as heavily on him just because of his injury and how he hasn't played that much for so long. I mean, he had those 2 fumbles last week, not this game, but the game before. So he, is good. He's just not playing to his full potential right now. And I feel like that's part of the reason that their offense is weird. So injuries that definitely plagued their offense for sure this year. But yet here they are. They're still here. It was an impressive game. I was watching a 49ers live stream after this game. And the guy who was on there was I don't remember his name, but he was like some really big, renowned, like 49ers YouTuber who was doing a stream on Instagram. And he was sitting there telling people to not be angry at Jimmy Garoppolo. And I was just watching it and I was like, how can you not be angry at Jimmy Garoppolo? Like, from an outside perspective. Like, I know he's given everything to that team. And let's be honest, on that team, for the most part, he has been a winner. Has he played particularly well? No. Like, he has not. But he has won them games. And as long as you win, isn't that really all that matters? Like, you could throw 3 interceptions and still win, but at least you won, So, I mean, I think there's an argument to be made for and against Jimmy Garoppolo for sure. But I think that this game is on Jimmy Garoppolo. Obviously, not only on him. I think you can blame Kyle Shanahan to some degree as well for some of the play calling. But defensively, I mean, they played pretty good. I mean, outside of the dropped interception by Tart, which, everyone's going to blame him. Well, that's why he isn't playing receiver, people. Like, should he have caught it? Yes. But I imagine that if you were in the same shoes in the NFC Championship, then it would probably be more difficult to actually do that than to watch it on TV and wonder how he didn't just catch that so easily, So obviously that played a big part. But Jimmy Garoppolo just is average. Like, he can win you games. No one's going to argue that at this point because he has. He has won the 49ers games. And that's awesome. And that's really awesome for their fan base. That's really awesome for him. And it definitely helps shape his legacy. But kind of like Carson Wentz, right? You put him in a big moment, he doesn't really show up that often, especially in the biggest games. All he needed to do on that last drive was throw the ball away. That's all he needed to do. Obviously, it's easier to watch it from your couch and think, why didn't he throw it away? But like, I understand, even if it was 4th down, like, you still have to throw it away. Like, you gave the game away by making that pass. You did. That's just what it comes down to. I do think that Jimmy Garoppolo may still be on the team next year, but I don't think he will be starting. I could see Trey Lance taking over next year and Jimmy staying on as a mentor, kind of like how Brett Favre was to Aaron Rodgers, you know? So Jimmy will either be gone or he will be a backup next year for the Niners. I do not think that Jimmy Garoppolo will start next year. I think if he does, that's a bad decision. But I don't think that the 49ers are that far off from being a contender, just like Chris said. I mean, I don't think anyone expected the 49ers to make the NFC Championship this year, to go through the Cowboys and the Packers and almost beat the Rams. Like, no one expected that. I mean, I'm sure that there were some very loyal, very knowledgeable, very, positive 49ers fans that did think that. But the vast majority of us, we just didn't. It just didn't seem like a realistic possibility this year. And they did. And they proved that they're really not that far and that they are pretty scary. Especially if you get Deebo Samuel going. The 49ers are real scary. I think Deebo Samuel is the best WRB in the league. Because does anyone really know what he is? No, if we're being honest. He's all of the things, all of them. Quarterback, running back, wide receiver. He blocks. I mean, he's literally the whole team. So they obviously have pieces, but this year was not their year. But to say that they are not potentially in a Super Bowl window right now, I think would be a lie, because if they weren't, they would not have made it this far with a roster that was probably not as complete as they wanted it to be. So shout out to the Niners for making this far. You had a very inspiring run, but like last week, I did not expect them to beat the Rams. The game was closer than I expected. I didn't expect the 49ers to win though, but it was still entertaining, which I was grateful for. Shout out to Matt Stafford for tormenting on the Lions for years and years and years, and now he's in the Super Bowl. Yay. So you got to love that story. Really, both of the stories on both sides of the Super Bowl are really cool this year. So regardless of who wins, I'm kind of indifferent because I like both of the teams. So,
well, there you have it. So next, we've got just some surprise news / not really / we expected this a few days ago, but not really apparently. Tom Brady retired today, February 1st, 2022. It's been like 20 years of him just beating NFL teams over and over.
All of them. He's beaten all 32 teams.
That's crazy.
Well, I guess technically all 32. Yeah, because he played on 2 different teams.
But that's incredible to think about. But yeah, I think this made sense. I mean, he admitted he was thinking back and forth. I wasn't sure. I was like, I could see him coming back for one more. But also, he doesn't have anything else to prove. He's done everything he can. I think him going to Tampa was a little bit like, hey, I can win without Belichick. And he did. He did it in 1 year.
In his first year. And
so, like, at this point, and then he made the playoffs again. And then, honestly, probably should have almost, I don't know about should have won the game, but, like, it wasn't his fault they lost.
Had a chance.
Yeah, he was the one to give them a chance.
Mm-hmm.
He has nothing to prove. He is the greatest of all time as of now. So I think overall, this was fun. Chelsea really enjoyed a Colts Twitter post that was made about this retirement.
Yeah, so this is being recorded on Tuesday, the day that Tom Brady retired. The Colts, let it just be known, the Colts won the internet today because they posted a video on their Twitter of a SpongeBob episode where SpongeBob is moving away, standing there with Patrick, and Squidward is really happy because Squidward hates SpongeBob. SpongeBob is Tom Brady. Patrick is the NFL, and Squidward is the Colts. And in the episode, in the scene, he says, "Oh, SpongeBob, good luck in whatever you do. Boo hoo, boo hoo." And then he runs into his house and confetti starts flying out of his house and he's going, "Boo hoo, boo hoo, boo hoo. Oh no, boo hoo. I'm so sad." That's me. That's how I feel.
Literally. That's
Boo
how
hoo.
so many NFL fans are just like, "Oh, we're sad. He's gone. He's gone." Yeah.
Oh no. I will say it's going to be, of all of the retirements that I've seen in my life, including Peyton Manning's, nothing is going to be stranger and nothing is going to have a bigger impact on the league than Tom Brady not being in it. Because Tom Brady has been a staple in the NFL and professional sports for that reason for the last 2 decades, which is crazy to think about. So the fact that he won't be there is going to be very strange. But he deserves his retirement. I mean, I'm a diehard Colts fan. I'm a diehard Peyton Manning fan. And I will sit here and I will stake my claim on the hill of Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback of all time. And admittedly, it took me a while to get there. You know, I really wasn't ready to admit that until I was in college. But at that point, it was just once Peyton retired, it wasn't really arguable at that point. But I do not like Tom Brady. I do not like the Patriots. And I will plant myself on this hill and die on it and say that Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback of all time. Because I don't think that there's an argument anymore. And I really don't think there's been an argument for the past few years, if we're being honest. Like even before he won the Super Bowl with the Bucks, there still wasn't an argument. No. If anything, him going to the Bucks just enriched his legacy even more than it had already been enriched. So I hope that Tom Brady enjoys his retirement. And I hope that this means that he can come on the Manning cast more if it continues next year.
Oh my goodness.
He and Peyton and Eli can talk smack some more, which I find to be very entertaining. Because if we're being honest, and as much as it pains me to say, Eli Manning was kind of more of Tom Brady's kryptonite than Peyton was. Which is hard for me to say because it was the Tom Brady and the Peyton Manning rivalry. That was it. But Tom Brady would have 2 more rings if it wasn't for Eli Manning. So shout out to Eli Manning for preventing Tom Brady from getting more rings than he already has.
Peyton kind of did it once, but really it was his defense when they went to the Super Bowl and, they did beat them in the AFC championship. So I'm just saying
Marlon Jackson. But Peyton Manning helped put up 38 points in that game.
I'm talking about again when he was in Denver. And they play. You're
talking about the inferior franchise he was on? Oh, okay.
Let
it be known that Peyton also prevented Tom Brady from getting a Super Bowl when Marlon Jackson picked him off. So
that's true. There you go. The inferior team. That's great.
It is. There's only one team that has a Peyton Manning statue in front of its stadium, and I'll have it be known that it's not the team in Denver. So
the salt is real, but there you go.
Yeah. That's how Patriots fans feel. Like what NFL historian in 20 years is going to look back on the league and say, "Oh yes, Tom Brady was a Buccaneer for life." Like no one's going to say that. Tom Brady is going to be known as a Patriot. Did he have success on the Bucs? Absolutely. But is he going to be known as a Buck? No. Same thing with Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning had success with the Broncos, but is he going to be known as a Bronco? No. It's just how it is.
Well, there you go.
So Patriots fans, you can identify with my salt when Bucs fans try to claim Tom Brady as their own.
Yeah, it's like Joe Montana is known for being a 49er, not a Kansas City Chief. Like he's obviously everyone knows he went, or people know that he went there, but he's not known for that. But anyways, Tom Brady, I think this makes sense for him, and there's really nothing for him to prove.
That there was a chance that he was going to retire when he said that he was satisfied with the season, even though they didn't win the Super Bowl. Like,
Mhm.
when in Tom Brady's NFL career has he been satisfied after losing an AFC or NFC championship? Never. So you
Mhm.
knew that when he said that, it was just the beginning of the end.
And then I guess the Bucks now. Time to pursue Aaron Rodgers, right? I mean, they're still built to win.
They are. They have one of the best rosters in the NFL if
Uh,
everyone's healthy. So
so I'm just saying, little Rodgers moved to Tampa. It's a lot warmer there.
watch it be Rodgers or Russell Wilson. Just watch. Russell Wilson will go, oh, you know, it's not very rainy and kind of warm. Tampa Bay. Hey, Pete, bye.
Yes, exactly like that, actually.
Yeah, and that high of voice and everything.
Mhm. Well, either way,
Deshaun Watson goes to Tampa Bay. Bro.
Tampa will figure it out, and we'll
Kyle
see what they'll
Trask
do.
could start for them. They took him in the second round. I mean, he's a Florida man taking
Mhm.
over the horse from Tom Brady to lead them into the sunset. If you're Kyle Trask and you're watching Tom Brady retiring, you're thinking, oh, dang, Tom Brady's a lot better than I am.
Well, there you go. All right, but let's go ahead and just talk about our picks, and then we'll wrap up the episode for today. So, Bengals versus Rams. I'll go ahead and go first. For the first time in this whole playoffs, I'm finally gonna go with the Bengals. They have
Wow,
literally
shocking.
proved me wrong so many times. Every time I pick against them, they win. And I swear, if they lose,
I'll laugh.
I'm gonna be like, okay, I'll never pick them again. I'm sorry. I I won't lie though. My biggest concern for the Bengals is that offensive versus defensive line. That that could be a nightmare. And if that does not go, if that goes, I don't know. Like that's going to be a real key deterrent on like, okay, who's winning this game? Because if
Okay,
Joe
but
Burrow has a
are you picking the Bengals because you
yes,
actually think
can
the
you let me
Bengals will win?
finish my thought
Or are
first,
you picking them
please?
because you don't want to be wrong again?
I just can I just finish my thought please before. All right, here's the thing. The Bengals though time and time again have shown they can get it done in the clutch. They've won 3 straight clutch games. And yes, a lot of these playoff games have been very close, but let's just think of it this way. The Bengals, if they're in a close overtime game, there is no pressure in my opinion. The Rams we've seen kind of mess up a lot in the clutch. They beat Tampa and they did make the big play to Cooper Kupp. I'm not saying they can't play in the clutch because obviously they showed that they can. But my thing is the Bengals, I think honestly the Rams probably have more pressure on them since they've made the Super Bowl. They've they've made it recently. They're trying to make up for it again. Their window is like ticking down. That's what they feel like because they have so many veterans signed to that team and they have like no picks for the future. This is like a sellout for them to have to win it now, whereas the Bengals are like, we're here and we want to be here to stay. And people didn't expect us to be here, but we're here now. Let's go win. And so I don't know what's going to happen in this, but I do think if Joe Burrow just has time in the pocket, if he can just get some time, he can beat the Rams. He can do it. He's gutsy enough. He is perfectly okay with embracing this persona of like, I will go into any stadium in any atmosphere and win this game. Like that's what he showed against Kansas City, which is arguably the toughest place to play in the NFL right now. So that's why I think the Bengals are oozing confidence. Their defense has played a lot better in that second half. So, and the Rams offense sometimes makes me wonder. But the truth is, the Rams defense could run over Joe Burrow. But then again, the Titans defense did, but they still found a way to win it. So
I mean, they had 9 sacks.
I mean,
9.
literally. So stop. So I think that
or was it 7? I don't remember.
No, they had 9. And so I don't know. I think the Bengals can win this game. And I'm going to pick them to do it, but we will see. Now, Chelsea, what do you think?
So naturally, I have to pick the other team because we both can't be right. Right. So
Never.
I'm gonna go with the Rams. Not because I think that the Bengals can't win this game, and not because I don't think the Bengals are talented, and not because I don't think the game will be close, because I think all of those things. I just think the D line of the Rams is too good. You can't double team both Donald and Von Miller. Because if you do, you have two other linemen on defense against one offensive lineman, unless you bring in a jumbo package literally every play. And if you do that, all the linemen are going to be exhausted. Like, don't get me wrong. I want the Bengals to win this game. I think it's a great story, and I will totally go and buy a t-shirt, and Chris is also going to buy one, so we match if they win, because I just think that's cool. So I will. But the Bengals O-line played the game of their season last week against Kansas City. They did. And they're going to have to do that again if they want to win this game. I hope that they can do it, but I do not know how likely it is that they play that way again against a team that has a better D-line than the Chiefs do. Because don't get me wrong, the Chiefs have Ingram and they have Chris Jones, both of who are very talented defensive linemen, but Aaron Donald is arguably the best player in the entire league at D-line, which is crazy. And then you have Von Miller, and you have a bunch of other guys in that front seven, front eight that are really good. I mean, if I'm the Rams, I rush 5 and I send everyone else back into coverage every play. Like, I put Jalen Ramsey on Jamar Chase and I make the other guys beat me. Not that the other guys are bad. Boyd and Higgins can both score touchdowns, and hopefully Uzama plays too, because he was hurt in the last game. But I don't foresee Joe Burrow being able to survive with that O-line against both Donald and Von Miller and everyone else that they have. I just can't see it. But I will say that just because it will be very hard does not think I think the game will not be close. I do think that the Bengals are good enough, even with how bad their O-line is, to put up a game against the Rams. Because like Chris said, the Rams are notorious for sometimes not playing up to their best potential in big moments. So I think the game will be close, but ultimately I think it will come down to the D-line. Even if the D-line doesn't get a lot of sacks, all the pressure they're going to be putting on him every game, I think it's just going to, or every play, I think is going to be too much. So I have the Rams winning, but have it be known that if the Bengals do win, I will not be salty, because I would love to see it.
Well, there you have it. Our picks are in. We'll talk about it more next week, coming up, leading up to the game. And of course, we will have our after Super Bowl thoughts the week after. So I think that's going to wrap it up for episode 35 today. Chelsea, you want to just go ahead and lead us out here?
Sure. So thanks for listening, guys. Tune back in next week for more content. In the meantime, follow us on Twitter at _LCFootball_ and on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Launch Codes Football. I'm Chelsea.
And I'm Chris.
And we'll see you next week.
See ya.
Bye, Tom.